It's gotta be 50-50.
You think so?
I mean, just statistically, yeah. It has to. Statistically, it would have to be 50-50.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's two options. 50% of people are thinking boys and 50% are thinking girls. Like, it will almost always be 50-50. Today on the show, I couldn't believe it when I heard it, but Joe Rogan actually said, we need Jesus Christ.
We need Jesus. I think for real.
Speaking of hard conversations, when should you talk to your significant other about whether or not you want to have kids? Because that could be a deal breaker.
It could, Josh. And we asked you guys if you are planning to have kids. The answer surprised us all, and we need to talk about it.
All this and more on episode 43 of the Blimey Cow podcast.
Josh, I saw a man dancing around the house with a drum. There's always this house that's just out of place. It's a very nice house, though, in my neighborhood, but it's out of place because they always have decorations up. You know those kinds of people, yes. They've got, and you've probably seen this where you live. They're everywhere. They're rampant. These huge skeletons.
Yeah.
They constantly have two of them up. And I thought at first, I was like, okay, these people put up these skeletons, and it's a lot of effort to put these things together and tear them down every year. So they're just going to leave them up every year, like all year long. So every opportunity they get, they dress up the skeletons. I don't care if it's St. Patrick's Day. Everything is patriotic. Every single holiday, except for Jesus's birthday.
Oh, they don't do nothing for that?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Just my
Look,
judgment.
I'm just a little freaked out because I thought this was just one random person in my neighborhood that did this.
No, there's
This
one
is
in
a thing?
everybody's neighborhood. Now, Josh, I'm going to give you a little bit of encouragement here.
I'm a little frightened.
Okay, well, I was too, because I thought, how many weirdos are there out there like this? Because I don't know how to approach them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I've never seen these people out in my life. Never. And I was driving and past the house again. They're dressed up again, you know, and I saw a fire on the front porch, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a fire. I looked over there, and you see in my peripheral, I look over, and there's a man in a bathrobe, and he's got a drum, and he's like dancing around this like little flame on his wood porch. He's
Why
like,
is this encouraging? Where's the
because
encouragement?
I thought, you know, this man is not going to convince anybody of anything. It was just that he was so serious on his front porch. I was like, we're doing okay. If this is the opposition,
this is a competition.
If this is a competition and this is the opposition party, we're going to be okay. If this is who I've got to battle against.
Okay. I'll take it. At least he was wearing a bathrobe.
I wish he wasn't. That would have made me feel even more secure in myself. There's this this naked man
reasons.
bouncing around. Welcome everyone to the Blimey Cow podcast. Every Friday we try to make the world a little less messy. My name is Jordan.
And I'm Josh. We've got a fun episode of the show for you today. We polled our audience for predictions on whether Jordan and Sarah are going to have a boy or a girl this summer, so stay tuned for the results on that one. And I'll share my prediction too. Comment below with your answer to this week's question, which is, would you rather know how to play guitar or piano?
It's a question I've asked myself. I know how to play guitar, but not piano. And I wonder, wow, would I rather learn how to play piano than the guitar? It's a question.
Let's talk about it. It's a question.
If you want a free Blimey Cow t-shirt, then head over to supportblimeycow.com. When you join, you get a free Blimey Cow t-shirt as our way of saying thank you so much.
Thank you.
You also get an exclusive segment of the podcast just for our supporters, so head over to supportblimeycow.com today. Thanks to Seth Ledford, Austin Rosenberg, Larissa Johnson, Callan Budmeyer, Silas Calloway, and Marianne for joining our community this week.
Don't forget to check out the Clips channel, which is finally firing on all cylinders. Jordan, every week we're getting a video that gets like 1,000 views.
That's right.
I'm figuring out what works for the thumbnails.
He's hacking
Turns
it.
out, put our faces in the thumbnails less,
Oh,
and people are more likely to click.
interesting.
That's what I've discovered.
That's both good and bad.
So go to youtube.com/@BlimeyCowClips. Everything you love about the podcast without the time commitment. All the things we talk about on this podcast are just in little bite-sized form. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We are so close. I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll finally get there.
Yes. At Blimey Cow Clips. Finally, check out our online homeschool community, homeschoolwithus.com, for $3 a month. That's all it is. You too can homeschool with us. At Homeschool With Us, you'll find love, support, and encouragement on the homeschooling journey. So head over to homeschoolwithus.com to join the best homeschooling community on the entire internet.
And speaking of homeschooling, some fans of Blimey Cow got in touch because they created a new comic book called A Shrewd Defense.
But they also have something on the back, Josh.
It's a double comic.
It's a double comic. I
Isn't
thought that was
crazy?
awesome.
They wanted to sponsor an episode of the podcast, so we said, yeah,
Yes.
sure. So Jordan got a chance to check this out.
I did. I read this today, and you know what? I was amazed by the artwork in this, to be quite honest with you. Making a comic is something I've always, everybody, I think every person has always thought, man, what if I made a comic?
Yes,
That'd be
that is
so cool.
true.
They actually did. And it's actually good. The artwork is very good. I like the second story as well, Josh. The Marvelous Mr. Motley.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this story.
They said not to show anything past like the first couple pages because I guess there are secrets and
there are secrets.
Okay.
And it's a great comic book. I'd really love for everybody to check it out.
and this is the first issue of a saga that they're doing from the bygone sagas of Ugarel.
I think that's how you pronounce that, Josh. There was a way they told
yeah.
you how to. Yeah, they have little cool little helpful notes to help you to read
Pronounce the
some of
names
the
and
words
stuff,
in
yeah.
here. Yes, because they have their own little language and
They're
things like
deep
that.
into the lore.
They are. It's I think it's Ugaral. Josh, it has great biblical principles in it too. I would say.
And look, Blimey Cow fans,
Creating comics.
homeschoolers, click
I
the
love
link
it.
in the description to pick it up today. If you like comics, this is a no-brainer. But even if not, come on, you're supporting the creativity of some Blimey Cow fans. So go check it out, thewhimsicalsort.com, or just click the link in the description. That
Yes.
website has links to their comic store, YouTube channel, and other progress updates. So go check it out, thewhimsicalsort.com.
Your children are gonna love it too.
I'm
They
excited
really
to
will.
show it to
I'm
them.
gonna give this to my nephew on my other side.
Yeah, well, that's nice too.
Because I feel like this is
your
this,
child.
No, Josh, this is 10 plus. Okay, so
That's
it can't
true.
go to Isaac. He's not 10 yet, but it can go to my other nephew is 10, so he will get this.
Okay, there you go. All right, top stories. Here we go. All right, Jordan, last week on the podcast, you announced to the Blimey Cow community that you and Sarah are with child.
Yes, we are, Josh, and the baby is coming late summer.
And everybody was so nice in
so
the
happy.
comments and everything. So thank you all for all the nice words you said.
It's just been
New
constant.
niece or nephew.
Yes, it's been constant. I mean, constantly reached out to on Instagram, the original thing, just hundreds and hundreds of comments. On my other channel, so many comments. On this channel, so many comments. Just it's overwhelming. Everybody, just it's a community effort with this child. We will all be raising the baby.
It takes a village.
It takes a village, Josh. That's what the communists say. That's not what I say. You will not be raising my child. I will be. It was a trick. If you nodded in agreement, you are my enemy.
Nothing triggers me more than when I hear that phrase. Like it takes a, it takes a lot of. You're not. What are you talking? You're not raising my kid. You don't love my kid. You don't even know my kid's name.
No, you don't.
Back the off.
Yeah, well, the only way that starts to be a little bit of an encouragement is when you see on the Japanese subway system, you got these little kids that are 5 on the subway themselves, and other parents are helping them, they're alone, and other parents are helping them get on the right bus and stuff.
Okay.
I think that's the idea.
I get it if it's okay, we live in a little Amish community, or we're off the grid or something, and we have just a little community commune thing, and it's just we're all just trying to stay alive here.
But we're just hearing that kind of trope. You're gonna hear that from the AOC type of people. It takes a community to raise your child.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, you
not
childless.
Not you. Not you. You're not the one I'm choosing.
If I had to choose a village,
You would be the last village.
You would not be in my village.
Yeah, no.
None of the people saying it takes a village to raise a child would be in my village.
The only way that you're
would raise my child.
Yes, the only way that you're in my village is if you agree with that sentiment, but you never utter those words ever.
If you would never seriously say that, then you can be in the village.
But you believe it in some way.
In some way,
You would help a
understand-
child if they were
Yeah.
having a hard time.
Yeah.
Yes. Amy sent me this one. I thought it was
I
hilarious.
love when Amy sends you a meme. Abel waiting in heaven for someone else to die.
That one really got me.
Wow.
Amy really knows which ones make us laugh.
Oh, Amy. Oh, that's good. All right.
Then you will die.
When you love people but also want to flip tables and whip them occasionally. He gets us. Let me say something, Josh, okay? When AI can start making artwork like this, that is when I will be scared. Not if they can start doing, not when they do that like fake artwork where you can tell that it's AI, but this just looks like an old picture that you would have seen in, 1995. If AI
okay.
can start to make stuff like this and mimic something from that time, that's when I'll get freaked out.
The message.
Dear Jordan and Josh, I started dating this girl recently. She checks all the boxes. We agree on everything to do with religion and politics. We have similar interests, and most importantly, she loves God deeply. I consider myself lucky, but we had a conversation last night where the subject of kids came up. She said she isn't interested in the process of pregnancy and childbirth and would much rather adopt. I'm all for adoption, but for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted biological kids. This revelation really hasn't set well with me, sometimes even disrupting my sleep. I very rarely met someone that checks all the boxes like she has. People have some come close, but not like this. Not like this. Is the kids, are people know what that's from? Is the kids thing, comment below if you know what not like this, not like this is from. Is the kids thing a big enough deal that I should call this off? She said that my desire for kids could be God calling her to something. Like she's hearing God wrong, and maybe he's confirmation that I do need kids.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing that's given me hope in this entire message. But she didn't sound incredibly convinced when she said that. Maybe God's giving me a sign. Like,
Maybe
she, like,
God's
falls
giving
asleep.
me a
She like
sign.
smokes. I'm.
Oh, yes. God's giving you another sign.
I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Oh, I'm worried about this God make a problem later in life if we get married. Any thoughts? Yeah, this is gonna cause problems. And like, if you suspect God is calling you to something, I feel like that's not really something that you take lightly. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's like, maybe God is telling me something about me having kids because of you, but she's like falling asleep while she's saying it.
Yeah.
It's just disrespectful. It's like, look, maybe God is not calling you to that girl, but if he is, why do you seem so disinterested? If you even thought that God was calling you to something, you would think that would be like this life-changing, like God actually said something to me.
Well,
that changed my life. The possibility.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say that she was uninterested. It said that doesn't sound incredibly convinced. So it could be a thing where she's trying to stay open to it and say, like, look, I mean, maybe the fact this is so important to you means that God is showing me something.
Josh, I think you're right. I think that's true. You get
a vibe.
Yes. When people, it's like they feel like they're better than everything, than the world. Somebody who actually says, I don't want children. That's a thing that they've actually decided. And I personally, Josh, think that for her, the adoption thing is a little bit of a cop out. I don't
Okay.
actually think that. I think that that's how she convinces herself to not do anything, and she just has to tell herself, well, I'll maybe adopt.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there, but
Yeah.
I have good senses, Josh, when it comes to this stuff.
Normally do.
But yeah, I think that it's this idea, this mentality of not wanting kids, having that being a decision, is people believing that they are the most important thing on this planet, they themselves. That they have this ego complex that they don't even realize that they're living with, but they are, and it's ruining their life.
Interesting.
Now, for people who can't have children, that's not, I'm talking about people who actively say, I don't want children. I cannot picture myself having children. It's one of two things. They've either had something bad happen to them as a child, and they can't imagine raising a child because they only envision bad things.
Yeah.
Which also is egocentrical if you think about it that way too, Josh. Which is that's controversial to say. Or they actually just straight up are like very egotistical people. But both way, it's them-centered, is what I'm saying. The egotism is it's them-centered. They're either focusing too much on their problems and how they grew up and the problems, which you can expect that if somebody had bad things happening to them, but it's causing them, I don't like saying stuff is causing people to do stuff, but it's causing them to think about themselves too much, which is against what you're supposed to do as a Christian. You're not supposed to think of yourself. You're supposed to think of others.
Yeah.
Having children and being willing to do this is the ultimate thinking of somebody else.
Right.
You're putting all of your experiences that you had as a kid, if you were hurt in many different ways, you're saying, look, I'm trusting God. I'm putting all of this aside, and I'm not going to let that stop me from doing a natural thing that God has created my human body to do. Because we need more people on this planet. God loves the children, and now you're saying, no, I'm not gonna put another person on this planet that God loves. You know what I mean? It just seems when you put it in terms like that it actually is what you're saying in some backwards way. So
I posted in the community. We'll talk about it in the question of the week section. But I posted a poll, and it said, who is planning to have kids and who isn't. And it didn't really dawn on me that could be kind of a tricky subject because certain people have, like certain physical issues where they can't have kids or some other things. But then you also, I think I heard from some people that didn't, that have said, I don't think I want to have kids, but they feel like they're being told they're bad for not wanting that. And I wouldn't
say that they're bad, but I think that, and I'm being straight up honest. If this makes people mad, that's just what it is. I don't think, I think that there's a lot of stuff deep in you that you haven't thought through and you haven't figured it out yet. And this is for people who say that they just, not that they can't have kids, but they just don't want them. I think there's a lot that there's a lot about yourself that I think that you don't see yet. Not saying that it's all good and it's not all bad, but there's something that you are missing. If that is the conclusion that you've come to. And I don't even, and there are studies on if you feel like your country, this is actually pretty interesting. If you feel like your country is more in like a slave state kind of thing, that the population tends to decrease because people don't feel excited to have kids.
If you don't feel pessimistic about the future.
Yes. If you feel pessimistic about the future of your country, people tend to have kids less.
Pessimistic.
If they feel pessimistic, they have kids less. Once people feel like the country is turning around, then people start having a lot of kids. I've found that stat very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
What do you think, though?
I mean, on some level, I think I agree with that. I think that it always just makes me a little bit like, because I know that there can be, everyone can have a different experience. And so I think that there could be specific situations where someone just says, I don't want to have kids. Maybe I don't even want to get married, or I for one reason or another. And I don't want everybody to feel like, oh, because I don't want that. But I do also agree with you that a lot, maybe even most of the time, that I think there's some truth to what you're saying.
I notice trends. When you notice the trend is that a lot of people that we know
Sure, I mean,
are going in that direction.
People that we know, I agree. Yeah,
and then you think, okay, this is, it can't be every one of those people.
Yeah,
is that 0.1% of people that it makes sense.
Sure.
When you know a lot of them, it's like, okay, we're noticing something here.
And that's what, because a few people commented on the community site, and I said, I feel like I agree with you that it's not as clear cut as sometimes people try to make it seem like, oh, everybody needs to have kids, and there's something wrong if you don't. But I also, at the end of the day, like if I have a friend who's on the fence, I will always encourage them to if they're nervous about it.
Right, exactly.
I'm somebody who I never wanted to adopt or anything like that, but I think now, if I knew then what I know now that we have started being able to have kids, obviously, if I knew how good it was going to be, I would have not been hesitant about adopting back then. So, if she's actually serious, going back to the message, if she's actually serious about adoption,
Josh, I go by my gut feelings.
I know you do,
and
I get it.
I go by trends, and I'm noticing. Sure, maybe you're the person watching this. Maybe you are one of the people who's like 0.1%, but you just have to know that there is a statistic, there is a stat, and there is like 1% of people or 0.1%. And if you look around and you see, oh, I'm seeing a lot of the 0.1%, then I would start to think, okay, do I need to think about something a little differently here? Like maybe that is weird that I'm kind of surrounded by a lot of the 0.1% of people who like actually shouldn't have kids. Like it's a little.
And part of it too is that it's just it could also just be where you're at your current moment in life. Like people change. People's minds change about things. People, you find yourself in a different situation. Maybe you become more optimistic about where the world is going. And you just decide, if you're like me, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, if I think the world is going in a bad direction,
right,
well, then I want to have kids. I want to have more kids. Like, to me, I get why that stat makes sense. Like, I get why the majority of people that would be true on the whole. Yeah. But for me, personally, that doesn't ring true to me because I don't know. But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Maybe we haven't known true. Right.
It's all make believe now.
It's
until
all make
believe.
Yeah. One day,
we're like, oh,
we're all around the campfire, and I'm like, we're not having kids. We could barely keep ourselves alive.
All right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh? Do you think I was too harsh with this? Do you think?
I think it's interesting. I was very intrigued by posting the poll and seeing the different. This is a heavy topic for people to kind of navigate. So it's interesting, just even talking to you about it, and I don't know. I mean, nobody is I want everybody to have kids. I think that that really helps you to grow, and it's just the natural kind of life.
Right. I know that everything is kind of like touchy now because a lot of people are struggling having kids, for one reason or another, which, that's a very real thing. Yeah. We get married, we have kids young. Yeah. We then have like 10 kids. Like that's what it has been for thousands of years. Yeah. So we're just in a new era where we can think about this stuff, or we're thinking about this stuff because people are less healthy, or because there are toxins or whatever that we're exposed to unbeknownst to us.
I mean, for the vast majority of human existence, you had to have a bunch of kids because a lot of them weren't going to survive, and somebody had to keep the farm going once you couldn't do it. Now it's more of just like do we want to have kids? Because that would be fun. That would feel good.
Exactly.
You know?
The fact that we even are having the conversation and asking the question is showing a degradation of society, like hugely.
Yeah. Right.
And that's just, I feel like and everybody has to agree with that. I mean, that's just whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Let's see the question of the week.
All right, here we go. All right, last week on the podcast, we asked you, are you planning to have kids?
A controversial question, Josh. We didn't realize.
But check this out. 81% said, yes, I want to have kids. 10% said, no, I don't want to have kids. Now, I suspected it would be closer than that. Are you surprised by this? I thought it'd be closer to 50-50.
No, I wouldn't say 50-50, but no, this actually does make sense because it's a solid 80-20.
Right.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it would be like 70-30. Or given our community, I would think it would be 70-30 or 60-40. But this is more hopeful.
I think that if it had been 60-40, that would have made me sad, but I wouldn't have really been surprised by it. But this actually is like surprising in the opposite direction for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Given what you were saying earlier on the other segment, I thought this was going to be very close, like closer than I thought I was.
Well, I was surprised that it was this far in this direction. And then I also posted this poll on supportblimeycow.com, and it was 81% there too.
Oh, weird.
Isn't that weird? So
that is weird.
So eight out of 10 people wanting to have kids, and then look, 2 out of 10 people will end up getting pregnant anyway.
Yeah. So then they have the realization, like, okay, I shouldn't have been. Maybe I shouldn't have been so harsh on like thinking, but I didn't want to have kids. Good, Josh. Oh yeah. Well, this week we have the question. Josh. Now this is a controversial question. Would you rather know how to play guitar or piano? I texted Amy the other day. I love piano, jazz piano in particular, but also just if you're just a good, just classical piano, just somebody who's just a prodigy genius. Yes. They've taken the time, they've worked, they've done the work, and they're just playing something and it's amazing. I texted Amy and I said, Amy, I think at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to sway your decision on what they say guitar, piano, but I was like, at the end of the day, I believe that piano is the most pure and the best music form. I really do.
It's beautiful.
It hits a certain way that only piano can. Mm-hmm. Guitar can, but it has to be played by a very specific person. Right. And it's more, and guitar is almost more about the person playing it. Yeah. Whereas piano is about the instrumentation.
Yeah. Good. Yes. That's a very good way to put it.
Classical guitar doesn't sound anywhere close.
You have to be a lot more talented on the guitar to do what a piano does a lot more naturally.
Yeah, like I feel like I would agree with that. I would. You know what I'm saying?
When guitar is played the right way, it's just as beautiful as a piano to me. But a piano doesn't have to work as hard. So, anyways, let's talk about it next week. Guitar or piano?
Which would you rather know how to play?
Let's. Here we go. Joe Rogan time.
Ooh, good news or
bad news?
But I think as time rolls on, people are going to understand the need to have some sort of divine structure to things, some sort of belief in the sanctity of love and of truth. And a lot of that comes from religion. A lot of people's moral compass and the guidelines that they've used to follow to live a just and righteous life has come from religion. And unfortunately, a lot of very intelligent people, they dismiss all of the positive aspects of religion because they think that the stories are mere superstitious fairy tales, that, you know, they have no place in this modern world, and, you know, we're inherently good and your ethics are based on your own moral compass and we all have one. And that's not necessarily true. We need Jesus. I think, for real. Like, if he came back now, it'd be great. Like, Jesus, if you're thinking about coming back
right now,
now's a good time.
Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah.
Now's a good time.
It's funny. It kind of sounds like a Benjamin Franklin type of person. I was telling you off camera. It seems like a Benjamin Franklin kind of person who's like, I don't know if I necessarily believe But as a
the
whole,
people need it.
yeah, the people need it,
Yeah.
and then society would be better. I
Yeah.
don't even know if it's true.
Yeah.
But we need to. They need to believe something so that it gets better.
You know, I agreed with you in the bad way that you're saying that. But now that you say it again, I agree, but in a positive way. Because if you're somebody like Joe Rogan, like even the fact that you're thinking about this means you're thinking on a level a little bit higher than most people
Yeah.
will think. So on some level, if he says, "Look, I think the people need this,"
Yeah. He's just one more step removed of himself needing it.
yeah. So it's like it's not perfect, but even that recognition,
Yeah.
I think even like 5 or 10 years ago did not.
Yeah, there's no way I feel like he would say that.
Right.
Or that it would be accepted much. But
from
now
anybody.
it's gone viral.
Right. This is something that I have thought had to happen because things are cyclical. I always say things are cyclical. We live in this like hyper enlightened, like postmodern, hyper post enlightenment age where you can't. I'll give you an example. I will give you an example. I'm watching
good.
the new Taylor Tomlinson special on Netflix. And it starts, it's a comedy special.
Oh, okay.
It starts with her rising up on this lift and then walking down these spiral stairs as everyone applauds, and then she starts her set. But in my head, I think she's going to have to make a reference to how ridiculous what just happened was. And sure enough, the first thing coming out of her mouth says, "Can you believe I just did that?" Mm-hmm. Nothing can just exist.
Yeah.
Nothing can just be. If anything has any sort of like oomph to it, it has to be commented on. There has to be some like, "Oh, did you
that's
notice
true.
this thing I did? Did you know?" You know, you watch an old like 60s musical, they're going downstairs and going up. Nobody's referencing anything. Things just existed.
Yeah.
But now everything has to be like, you have to make it like a self-aware comment about it.
That's very true.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I think I don't know how society gets back to an age. And I mean, I do know you have some kind of like crisis that just like wipes everything out and just puts the fear of God in everybody. Mm-hmm. Save for that, I don't know how you get people out of like this mode of feeling like they have to like be just like hyper aware. Like you're here, I'm on this meta level up here. And I'm going to comment on what's happening down here.
I see what you mean.
I don't know if I'm explaining that super well. But
yeah, it is weird that people do that. That's very true, and that's very uniquely now.
Yeah. And it could just be the internet just makes that meme type of comedy where we all have like these shared experiences. And so since we're all having shared experiences all the time, well, it's not funny to be down here anymore. Now you got to be talking about on this meta level up here. Yeah. Why was I even saying all that? I don't know, but
Well, it's like maybe you're saying it's like Joe Rogan talking about like religion as this
yeah.
object that he's acknowledging that other people need, but he's not actually saying I need it myself as much as it's like I'm objectively looking at this and saying, oh, it would be great if Jesus came back and people accepted him.
Right.
That would probably make society better.
Right.
I don't know, maybe that's where you're going.
At least it's a recognition that people need structure and hope and purpose. And even just that, I mean, as sad as it is to say, I think even that is a step in the positive direction at this point.
Yeah.
But then even to go a step further and say, and I think that means you have to believe in a higher being, like I think that's a move in a positive direction, even if you don't get all the way there or whatever. Just if there are influential types that are recognizing this, I think that's a good thing because
definitely.
While we've been in our 20s and 30s, you sort of had this like
No one's saying that.
Sort of new atheism kind of thing where it was
it's
like
cool
the
to be
intellectuals don't believe in those old fairy tales anymore. But I think that now you see that without structure, there's just chaos. And so even if it's dumb or it's not fair or whatever. The people need religion. You know what I mean?
And even in that clip, when I watched it for the third time, he does seem more even like himself. Joe Rogan is seeming like he is thinking about it himself more.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, he's saying it more objectively like they need it. But now it seems like he's considering things more. So it's interesting. Yeah, it's very good news.
Yeah. Moving on
To the weekly prophecy.
I polled the YouTube community.
It's got to be 50-50.
You think so?
I mean, just statistically, yeah. It has to. Statistically, it would have to be 50-50.
What do you mean?
50%. I mean, there's two options. 50% of people are thinking boys and 50% are thinking girls. Like, I don't know. It just seems that just makes sense.
That doesn't make sense. That just means, hey, if I ever present people with two options
of boy and girl. No, not of just two options, but of boy and girl. It will almost always be 50-50.
Okay.
I don't know why. But because what do you think the chances are that what do you think would be weirder, that it would be 80% girl and 20% boy? Do they know something that I don't know? I'm just saying statistically it seems like 50-50 would be thinking boy and girl if you're just guessing. That's hilarious.
Do you want to know what I think it's going to be?
Sure.
I think it's going to be a boy.
Well, statistically we've always had boys.
Yeah. Well,
you have three.
We had a
Amy
boy
has
first.
A boy.
Amy had a boy first. So you could have a boy first too.
On Sarah's side, her sister had a boy first.
Oh, did she? Okay.
Yeah, they put a boy first. Then the other one had two girls.
Right. I just know there's a lot of girls on Sarah's side. So that was the wrinkle in this plan.
But I think we're have boy dominant. Heavy.
We are very boy dominant, at least.
Heavily.
I'm curious. Well, two things I'm curious about. Because I don't think it'll be quite as surprising. Because it'll be your first kid. If Amy has another boy, or if we have another kid, and then it's a boy again, I mean, then we just have some sort of.
Yeah, that's just. I mean, that's just
sort of Y chromosome.
Very genetically.
Yeah.
Predisposed to that. Yeah, it's probably. Yeah. Who knows?
Do you have a guess? You don't have to share.
I've got guesses, Josh, but we'll say later.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't tell anybody. I just kept thinking I was going to have a girl each time, and then it wasn't. Every time.
Each time. Yeah.
I think if we have another kid, we're not even going to find out the sex ahead of time. We'll just be surprised when he comes out.
Yes. That's that's kind of what I was thinking doing this. I mean, I was even thinking of we were even considering not even doing an ultrasound at all. But, we're going to do a home birth. Edgy, yeah. We're going to do a home birth. So.
Oh, you're going to just say that on the podcast?
Why?
You already got people mad about the baby stuff. Now they're going to
That's okay.
Tell you about that too.
I don't care.
They're going to tell you about everything. They're going to be like, what's Jordan doing here?
I need to know.
On the podcast.
Look, all you have to know is that I was the first person to tell you about apple cider vinegar. That's all you need to. That's when you think, should I trust Jordan? Jordan told me about apple cider vinegar, and it changed my life.
I support you, and I hope only good things for you guys. I wanted to be good with a home birth at some point, but the last pregnancy, I was like, I don't ever want to do that. After how it all went down with Shiloh, I was like,
yeah.
Look, maybe it's not ideal here, but at least
we're all alive.
At least we're all alive.
We made it on the other side together.
Pump her with whatever. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Just
I won't ask questions. We will not look anything
out. She's not. I can't talk to her. I'm holding this bit. Okay. Anyways, that's it. Okay, very fun.
Yeah.
So you think you have a guess, but you don't.
Yeah, but it's fringe.
What? It's fringe.
It's not one of these, Josh.
Okay.
But it's not like you think. Like they think in the modern era, Josh. It's not like that. Let's move on.
What could that possibly mean?
You know, sometimes you're on YouTube and they start to give you like these inspirational videos on how to be more productive with your time or how to get off of YouTube, how to stop spending so much time on your screen. I realized that that is when they know they have you right where they want you. How can the problem be the solution? How can the problem ever give you the solution to the problem? It's pure psychotic. It's manipulation.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know much about psychedelic drugs, Josh, but they are, people say they're not addictive, but come on. If you've done psychedelic drugs more than twice, okay, there's some kind of addictive quality to this thing, all right?
Maybe you just love the way it makes you feel.
Exactly. So,
but I could stop anytime.
well, there's one mushroom that you take, and it makes. I'm gonna act like I know something I don't. But you see, people are gonna die laughing if I'm gonna say this totally wrong. But
there's a mushroom, like I get at Aldi.
Yes, there's this
Sliced or whole.
I don't know. I think crushed. But there's this little. There's like these alien goblin people. Is that on?
It sure is.
There's these alien goblin people that kind of like bounce around and talk to you, and everybody sees the same goblin people.
Right. Those are the demons.
Sure. I don't know, but what I'm saying is those goblin people, they always tell somebody some truth about themselves.
Okay. Maybe they're angels.
But imagine but what I'm saying is imagine the psychedelic drugs that are addictive. Say.
Yes.
They're giving you the solution.
I see, yeah.
Yeah, they're giving you the solution to your problem in life, but you have to keep going back to the addictive drug to then get the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
When the solution to the problem is to just, of your life, is to just stop. Like, stop partaking in this stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to some sage who's like, giving you the answers.
Yeah.
You're going to the source of the problem, who's then giving you little nuggets of like, hey, this is what you really need, and I'm the one who can give you the answer.
Yeah.
Do this to have a better life. Oh, I got to go back to see what else they say. It's just like YouTube doing this. Like, you have to keep going back to YouTube to. You really think that they're going to promote a video that's telling you to stop using it hours of your time? No.
They don't do it for us.
No, they don't. There's no way they would do that. And so, you're in too deep. You need to, if you start seeing those videos that tell you how to get off of YouTube or how to stop having screen time, you need to just not watch the video and just completely get off of your phone, like for a solid 2 days.
Yeah.
And just, use it for mildly for texting people and whatnot. But don't get on Instagram. Don't get on YouTube. Don't do this stuff. And just see how you feel. See if you feel better after 2 days than if you watched once you get down that hole of those videos, they just keep showing you them. See if you feel better.
That reminds me of that game, The Stanley Parable. You remember that game, The Stanley Parable, about the guy who realizes he's trapped inside of a video game?
No.
And the narrator is like narrating.
Oh, you told me about it.
Everything he has to do.
I haven't played it
or whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't do what the narrator tells you to do, the narrator like changes what's happening.
That's right.
What you're doing makes sense. My favorite ending of that game, because there's many endings, but my favorite ending of the game is when you finally realize that the only way that you're gonna get untrapped from this video game is literally just to turn the game off. There's no actual ending.
That's cool.
It's not like you turn the game off and then when you turn it back on, you get rewarded. You literally just stop playing. And that's awesome. That's the ultimate ending. And it feels anticlimactic, but then you think, no, that's the perfect ending to this game.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
What's your deep thought?
Kelly just said something the other day, and I said, did you make that up? Or she said, no, I saw it somewhere. But I'll give her credit for it anyway. She told me, she said, productive, rest, connection. You can have 2 of these things in a day, but you cannot have all 3.
Productive, rest, connection.
So you can either have a day where you're connecting with the people you love, you can have a restful day, or you can have a productive day where you get a lot done. You can do 2 of those things in a day, but not 3.
Interesting.
And you need to be okay with that.
Interesting.
Because there was something going on where I was like, man, I meant to get this done or that done, and Kelly could tell, like, look, you're up, you've been up here with the boys playing with us and having a great time, and you're resting right now. Rest and connection. You didn't have a super productive day. That's what tomorrow's for.
Yeah.
And I just was encouraged by that. It was kind of like when you sent me the picture
Yeah. I still have that picture.
I do
Is
too.
it your desktop?
No, it's my children. That's from
That's a
yesterday.
great picture
That's
of
from
them, isn't it?
yesterday. Look how big Shiloh's getting.
Why is he so big?
That's
That's
all I have
a
to say
very
about
good
that.
insight.
Yeah.
We had some amazing insight today. That'll be a great clip. Let's get to what?
It gave me hope.
Dang it, I forgot to bring it. One of you guys so kindly sent me,
Brian.
you sent me the complete guide to conjugating in French. What a great book. Just a little small thing. I mean, it's like, but it's thin.
It's a thin book.
And it's very genius how they've organized this book. At first it's confusing, which he did warn me of, but once you get the hang of how to use this book, it's very, very, very smart how they did it. And they made it so thin. I don't know if they could have done it any better of a way than they did to make the book so thin.
Okay. It's concise.
Very concise, and it's genius how they kind of organized it. So if anybody's out there learning French, this isn't the recommend section, but it gave me hope that one of you sent it to me. So thank you,
that was
Brian.
very nice.
I meant to bring it, I just utterly forgot.
You brought the comic book.
I did. I actually put this in the car because I was gonna be so mad before I left. If I went outside in the morning to put it out there because I was like,
okay.
if I leave this book,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
be
to
so
come
mad.
back. You have to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that gave me hope. The book's very helpful. I read it on vacation on the beach.
Okay. There you go. Fun.
Figured it out.
My gave me hope is a story I meant to tell last week because during our We Recommend section last week, I gave Jordan a book called Hold On to Your Kids.
Yes.
And so I wanted to share this story, but it gave me hope more than I recommended, I suppose. I don't know. But I do recommend it. It's this idea of collecting your kids. So in this book, it talks about this concept of collecting your kids. So for example, in the morning when you wake up, when you have kids for a while, you sort of get in this thing where you just assume that your kids know, hey, I love you. We're starting the day. Let's just do what we need to do. But this book talks about the idea of collecting your kids, where basically, your kid lives in the safety of this knowledge, you hope, but it's good to reinforce it. And so the idea is that you start each day just really spending some time, just with eye contact with your child, asking them, what are you working on? What are you playing with? Oh, that looks really cool. Tell me more about it. And actually meeting them where they're at. I don't know a non-cheesy way to say that, but
That makes sense. Not just assuming that you are interested in what they're doing for the day,
and
blah, blah.
I'll give you an example. So I'm down here working. Isaac calls me on the walkie-talkie. Daddy, I need to go potty. Okay, so I go upstairs. The first thing he sees me for the day is, all right, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, buddy, are you doing? How's it going?
Yeah,
How's
that
the
makes
morning
sense.
Going? So I got to test this out the other day. That's the story I wanted to tell. So there I am, sitting on the toilet.
Of course.
And if you don't lock the door, or maybe the door doesn't shut all the way, of
course,
100% chance that a child's going to walk in.
Yes.
Just like that's a normal thing that happens.
Yeah.
And just, hey, Dad, what's going on? Hey, Daddy, what are you doing? And so Elliot wanders in, starts going through the drawers.
Of course.
Which, is whatever. He's going through bathroom drawers. But your inclination as a parent is to say, I don't know what's in those drawers. Don't do that. Just don't do that. Don't do that. But instead, I thought, okay, let me take the thing I learned from that book. And so instead I said, buddy, what'd you find in there? He's like, oh, I found it. What is this? I was like, oh, that's one of Mama's necklaces. Oh, and this a necklace too. Yeah, that is. You know what? We need to keep those in there because we don't want Mama to lose those. She really likes those necklaces. Oh, yeah. We should probably just shut that drawer too. Yeah. And he just shuts it. Way easier than if I'm like, no, don't. And then he's like, why? Why? And then it just becomes a conflict because I made it a conflict. You know what I mean? So anyways, I just thought that was
a good story. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, just a small thing. It was like these small victories. Anytime anything is even just the littlest bit easier, once you have kids, you're just like, oh my God, this is like a whole new world. The other day, the boys were just playing upstairs and I was down here and Kelly was in the back room dealing with Shiloh and they were just up there playing and I thought, Is this just what it's going to be one day where like they could just be up there
Unsupervised.
unsupervised? That's the word I'm trying to think of. Unsupervised. And I guess we're almost there. I tried to take a shower this morning.
Did that not go well?
No.
Okay.
Kelly was back again with Shiloh. I said, hey guys, you good for a few minutes? I'm going to take a shower. I'll leave the door open. Okay. 5 minutes. I said, what happened? I fell off. I fell. Did you get pushed? No, I just fell. What did you hurt? My knee. All right. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh,
This
no.
is my worst nightmare. I get in the shower and people start crying, getting hurt. Anyways,
The most
he gave me
vulnerable
hope.
position.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I'll be right out, buddy. And in fact, I had like peppermint soap all over
Yeah.
my face. So I couldn't even keep my eyes open because if I did, I was going to... I would be the one crying. All right, let's recommend some stuff
Yes.
as we begin to wrap up this time of worship. So I found out something about myself. I've discovered that my favorite genre of video games is roguelike deck builders.
What is roguelike? Get me into them. I'll play
Okay.
with you. Is it nap?
Is it nap?
An app.
Oh, an app. No, it's just it's like a type of game. So deck builders. Let's like Dominion. Remember where I taught you Dominion, where we both start with the same number of cards,
Yes.
and then you buy new cards, and those are now in your deck.
That's right.
You're building your
We
deck.
played this at my house.
Yeah. So that popularly deck builders were board games, but now they've started making video game versions of deck builders.
Oh.
That game Slay the Spire I recommended several weeks ago
Okay.
is a deck building video game, but it's also roguelike. And roguelike means that every time you complete a run where you're like getting as far as you can before you die, and death is permanent, you just have to start back to the very beginning and do it again. But every time you do it, one, you're getting wiser because you're realizing more about, I
Right.
should have done this or I should have done that. But the game is also saying, hey, you made it a little bit further this time. You get a reward that you can choose to use on your next run of all the different rewards that we've offered
Okay.
you. You get like a new perk or something, a buff of some kind. Well, Balatro is in this vein, but it is a roguelike deck building poker game. So it's a one player, like you're just laying out sets of cards, basically. Like you might do a straight or a full house or whatever. But your deck is getting more powerful every time you complete a run.
Okay.
So you might buy a new card that gives you a bonus, or I don't know. It's just
But it's a single player game.
yeah. So you collect these Joker cards that give your deck like bonuses and stuff, and every round you have to score more points to advance, or you just lose. But your deck is getting more powerful every time.
But you still have a lot of strategy on how to get the most points possible.
Yes. And so you
Okay,
can
I
like
see.
buff up and say, hey, I want to make every time I get a full house, I get double the points for that one. And so you're like trying harder to get full houses than anything else.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, I don't know. I think I might just be a sucker for this kind of game, but this just came out and I really like it a lot. It's also, it's a little bit harder to get into because there's a lot of like terminology that you have to understand, especially if you don't know poker. Like I didn't really know poker, so I had to learn poker.
Yeah. I don't know.
But again, any kind of game that I can play in like 15 minutes and like get a complete experience out of, that's what I like. Balatro.
Looks fun.
Check it out.
My recommend is just getting a simple pull-up bar at your house. If that's the one piece of machinery, it's not even a machine. Forget every other exercise equipment. Just get a pull-up bar and just act like this is a normal part of your life that you just hang from this. Even if you don't do a pull-up, just hanging from that bar. Just whenever you see it, just walk over and just hang on it, just for fun, swing on it.
Did you
Get
just
down.
buy one or
No.
something? Because it's so weird that you're saying, I just bought one like 3 days ago at Goodwill.
No, I just made
Literally
this up.
just like 3 days ago. When I saw it on the sheet, I was like, you've got to be kidding
No,
me.
I didn't. No, I just have my rings,
Yeah,
the gymnastics rings, and I know most people can't have that.
right. The pull-up bar is the same.
Been a pull-up bar is the same basic thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that will change your life if you just. It's also just good for you in your spine and the lengthening of your body to just hang. You know.
Yeah.
It really releases your spine and helps a lot. But also just that grip strength. Just get one, put it in a doorway, and just when you walk under it, just grab it and do a pull-up. swing. You don't even do a lot. And just go on with your day. Just play on the thing. Just have fun with it. Don't even make it like a workout. Like that's what I do. I just get on the thing. I have my workouts that I do, but sometimes I don't feel like doing the workout that much. I'd still do them. But if I was less disciplined, I would be like, at least I'm getting on this thing and I'm holding it for as long as I can and swinging around. Like, that's a lot. That's doing a lot.
I think more people would be willing to do that if they understood that it really doesn't take very much effort at all for your body to get stronger.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to sit there and like bust into a sweat every time you go. You literally just are saying, hey, body, I would like to be able to go a little further.
But even consider like just a pull-up bar. We think, we always think, oh, like it would be so great to do 10 pull-ups. And like that's the goal. But think about how much power it takes to just have your hands gripping a bar and you weigh 170 pounds.
Right.
That's a lot of weight to hold.
That's true.
Like, that's not nothing. That's actually a lot. But we're just so conditioned to think, oh, well, I can't do a pull-up, so why would I even
just a dangle from a bar.
Just a dangle from a bar when you weigh 170, 180, I mean, or less.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That is a lot of work for your hand. I mean, even for your hands to get calluses, to get like rough enough to be able to do that. Yeah. You'd be amazed at how much you can do just by hanging, not even pulling up.
Yeah.
And just goof off on stuff. I mean, just have fun. Don't like even do a set thing that you do.
We actually, because I originally out in the garage, I got a pull-up bar that I screwed to one of the beams because to do convict conditioning, you have to have your feet actually like dangling.
Yes.
And I don't have a space that I can do that.
Yeah.
Well, I realized I got that pull-up bar because it was like $7 at Goodwill. I was like, I don't have a pull-up bar. I need one. That if I do it on the stairs, there's a step going down the stairs. So I could put it in the doorway and the hallway, and if I have my body positioned in the stairwell, I actually can dangle.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is really nice.
Well, you also have the jungle gym we built out there.
Exactly. I could. Yeah. Now it's getting warmer outside, and that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to have started doing pull-ups and stuff already, so that I can just like go out and down there and have fun with it.
Yeah, that's the ultimate. Like, I even did that after we were done doing Christian meme review. I just went down there and just.
Oh, is that where you went?
Went across that several times.
Nice.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that again after we're done with this segment.
There you go.
I guess that's it. I guess we're done.
The end.
Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a great episode, It was great. We'll be back sooner than you think, later than you hope. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye.